This is We Told You So, episode 75. Remember, if you're one of those dumb MAGAs, be sure to ignore everything in this video and just call me a libtard in the comments. It just gets me more views anyway. And if you're good at something, never do it for free. Of course, that's mostly for the MAGA on the Play Button app. The ones on TikTok know better by now. Let's see what we got today, kids! Michelle Obama is not attending the inauguration. Good for her. She also didn't attend Jimmy Carter's funeral because it would have put her face to face with the Orange Menace. And the only reason I bother mentioning this is because the MAGA are going to make a stink about her not showing up, calling it unpatriotic or something, when their dear leader didn't show up to Biden's inauguration after Trump's failed coup. Surprise, surprise, a new poll came out showing that people are highly divided on Trump's second presidency, despite his claims of having an unprecedented and powerful mandate, which remember he does not have. Because he won the election by 1.5%, receiving fewer votes than he got in 2020 and less than 50% of the popular vote. This was one of the closest races in modern history. This man has no mandate, which is exactly why the Republicans squashed any attempts at recounts, when he received dozens of recounts in 2020 based solely on his feelings and him crying about it. But the poll shows people split almost 50-50 on whether or not they support mass deportations, which just means that 50% of the country is once again completely ignorant on the issue. Because as economists have been talking about for a long time, those mass deportations are not only going to increase our costs, increase our inflation, but also increase our unemployment rate. But half this country is just like, I don't care, get rid of all the brown people! A shout out to one of my new followers on here who you should also go follow. He reminded me of something that's very interesting. The Republicans already tried doing mass deportations in 2011. They fucked around and they found out already. They just didn't learn. Because in 2011, Alabama passed a law trying to kick out all undocumented immigrants. They found out within 2 weeks that this had massive implications on giant companies. It also literally turned it into a police state where the cops were required to constantly pull people over and be like, show me your papers. By the end of it, many Republicans were even admitting the whole thing was a mistake. And afterwards, when the whole thing fell apart, they said the law was like a disease. After it very quickly affected the economy and the society, provision after provision fell, it became clear that the original goal of the law to expel undocumented immigrants was not going to happen. Why do Republicans never learn? Also, according to that poll that I mentioned, 62% of Americans disapprove of Trump pardoning the January 6ers. Which, like I said, he's already walking back, and he's not going to do it anyway. But of that 62% of Americans, that makes up almost 2/3 of independents, and even 30% of Republicans themselves. Trump is also entering office with a 44% favorability rating. I'm shocked it's that high. And in terms of his recent cabinet appointees, 19% of people have a favorable opinion of Pete Hegseth, the Fox News pundit that he wants to make Secretary of Defense. The guy who's known for being a massive drunk and a sexual assaulter. Birds of a feather, ladies and gentlemen. 25% have a favorable view of Marco Rubio. And just 37% have a favorable opinion of Alonia Muskrat. The people that Trump is picking to run this country have a lower approval rating than he did when he left office in disgrace after attempting to overthrow his own government. But as I and many others tried warning people well ahead of the election just how badly Donald Trump would destroy this country, apparently millions of people didn't want to listen. They think the economy is terrible and Joe Biden was a horrible president. In fact, 50% of people in the country still disapprove of Biden's job when he boosted our economy, created record numbers of jobs, he had a huge comprehensive infrastructure plan, he forgave billions in student loans, brought millions of people out of poverty, and did it all without breaking the law or taking in millions of dollars from foreign governments. Right now, we have the strongest economy in the G7. And Trump just wants to raise all of our taxes and massively cut them for the rich. But the people who love him so much will ignore all of this. Especially if you're watching this on YT, you'll find those people in the comments. Because just like with Tangerine Twatwaffle's history of being a criminal, and his history of pathological lying, promising his voters the world and then giving them nothing, they will ignore all of this just to bend over backwards and lick his boots. And they doomed the entire country in fealty to their master. This has been We Told You So.